I didn't think it was possible to love Katakuri more as a character than I already did. This chapter was truly glorious. An entire chapter focusing on Luffy versus Katakuri, and my god, Oda, you delivered the quality. You delivered that good stuff. That's what this chapter is. When we got that reveal to Katakuri, I couldn't help but just stop reading the chapter and looked and analyzed his expression and then thought about everything that we have seen thus far when it comes to his character. And when you had the little tidbits of information from Brule from last chapter saying that, Katakuri is someone that looks upon the ground and all that, and the ground doesn't look upon him, or, how he's always never laying down or whatever, and, he's someone that's prideful, someone that, he's like a perfectionist. He's a god among men. That's basically what Brule was trying to describe Katakuri as. And that's what many fans of Katakuri have kind of been describing him as. Like, okay, let's just be real here. It's obvious that from a fundamental level, Oda probably incorporated this little character trait just to kind of point at the fans as well. Because ever since Katakuri was introduced, let's just be real here, okay? I will include myself into this. We have all been basically saying that Katakuri, he is definitely like a mirror to Luffy, but he's like this more mature version, this person that's just really awesome, and like he can do no wrong, and he's someone that is like the perfect character for this arc, and one of the best characters of One Piece in terms of the villain side, just because of the way he acts. And I feel like when that little like tidbit was added into the chapter, when Brule was like, talking about Katakuri, and it was kind of like remembering that, I couldn't help but laugh, because everything that Brule said, basically Katakuri wasn't that. He was not that at all. He actually was lazy, he loved his snacks, and he was someone that didn't look like a perfectionist at all when he was just laying back eating his donuts and stuff. It was just a very funny sight overall, and it just added some character to him. But it was just such a surprise. Like, when I got to that part of the chapter, I couldn't really take the second half of the chapter so seriously, because I was just so mesmerized and laughing to the reveal of Katakuri that I'm like, this is just funny. Just Katakuri, this man is extremely stressed out, really angry, and he's like, so what? Like, so what if you got a hit in? And I'm like, this is too good. Like, this is legit too good. So anyways, let me actually get into the content. So basically, to start off with the chapter, we have it to where the chapter begins with Luffy versus Katakuri, and Luffy is going directly into Gear 4. Now, automatically, many of us have been talking about this for a while now, many weeks now, that maybe Katakuri could have his own transformation. He could copy Luffy and go Gear 4 for something, or a version of Gear 4. Even though Mochi is not exactly like rubber, he might have his own version of it and come up with it since he's been copying Luffy's moves over and over again. However, that was not the case. Soon as Luffy was powering up, and you saw like his hand and all that, his arm and all that going into Gear 4 mode, Katakuri stops him, just covers him in Mochi, and then encases him in it to where he can't move at all. And I love the line. Now, I'm not going to probably accurately repeat what he said, but basically, he goes along the lines to say, Straw Hat Luffy, I have never underestimated you once. I know you're obviously doing a power-up. Why would I let you power up and get stronger? That right there was just truly epic for me. It was a truly epic moment. Before the scene to when, we saw his, like, expression when he was eating donuts, it doesn't matter. Just that scene alone really just shows what type of character Katakuri is. I've loved it since we've seen time and time again that Katakuri is not a character that is underestimating Luffy at all. Many enemies that Luffy has fought and the Straw Hats have fought in the past, in many arcs, the reason why they've always fallen, or their downfall, was because they underestimated the Straw Hats. And one of the big things that's been going on in this arc is that Big Mom's crew, they kind of been underestimating the Straw Hats. They have. I mean, even though they're really strong and they're dysfunctional, they don't really think that the Straw Hats are that crazy. Like, they are underestimating them at every turn, and which in turn has caused it to where things haven't been going properly for them whatsoever. And so, the only person that's really shown in this arc, in terms of the villain side, that hasn't underestimated the Straw Hats is Katakuri himself. I mean, when he's sitting here and looking at Luffy, he's getting to see a couple seconds into the future, and Luffy's going into Gear 4 mode. We know what that means. As the readers of this series, as the readers of One Piece, and I've been following this series for a very long time, and also when Gear 4 was introduced, we know when Gear 4 happens, when Luffy goes in that transformation state, he's incredibly strong. I mean, he took down Doffy, and Doffy was no weakling. He was not necessarily a pushover. He wasn't. And then Luffy also was able to fight, Cracker as well, many chapters ago. So Luffy is not necessarily a pushover in Gear 4. And I really like the aspect that Katakuri, he wasn't like a traditional shonen villain. Because you don't know how many times I've seen this in shonen, and it bugs me so badly. Like, let's just take Dragon Ball, for instance, okay? I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball. Now, I made this very clear with many of you guys many times in the past. I love Dragon Ball. However, even though I love it, it has its own problems, many issues that it has, and I don't want to get into every detail, but basically, one of my big problems I have with Dragon Ball is that many of the characters love to watch the enemy transform, or many of the villains love to watch their, the main heroes transform into their ultimate state, and I just don't really like that at all, because if you truly were a villain, and you're wanting to conquer the world, destroy everyone, destroy the galaxy, whatever, obviously you shouldn't allow your enemy to transform to max power. Wipe them out before they get into that max strength. If you know they're going to power up, end it. And I just like how Katakuri goes against the mold of a standard shonen villain of an arc. He's not like that. He's like, I know you're obviously doing a power-up, why would I let you get stronger? And then he knocks Luffy out of his transformation and then encases him in, mochi. So that scene alone just made me really like him, just because he didn't underestimate him, he wasn't like a traditional villain, and it just added character to him, and it really just goes along with what we've seen already thus far from him, and why I've appreciated his character just so much. Now, anyways, let's get into the next half. So Luffy, he gets covered in mochi, and the logical assumption from this, obviously Luffy should have died, or any person normally would have died, and so I can't really blame Katakuri for this mistake. I know many might say Katakuri underestimated Luffy, but that necessarily wasn't the case. It's not that he didn't underestimate him. We gotta factor in multiple variables here. Number one, Katakuri, as we've seen, he has like this certain timetable. He has to have this snack time every certain time at, a specific time every day. And he always follows up with the exact time frame. And so he is a perfectionist when it comes to his timetable and when he wants his certain snack time. Now, overall, he's like 40 or so minutes late. I think that's the exact time. But he's a little bit off his exact time, and he's never really missed a date before. And this is like the first time it's ever happened. And so you can kind of look at it like this from an example, okay? He's kind of like someone that's addicted to something. Like, let's just take coffee, okay? Like a coffee addiction. You're addicted to coffee. You have to drink coffee every single morning as you get up. Let's say you get up at 7:30, and then you go make coffee around like 7:35. Coffee's done at 7:50 or whatever. Then you drink that coffee, okay? And that's like your set schedule. Basically, Katakuri was someone that was addicted, and he had this schedule where he always needed something. And since he was 40 minutes off, he got them like itches, most likely. He wanted it, but he couldn't have his snack time, which in turn was affecting his overall thought process, and that's why he rushed quickly over there to get to his food. Now, it's not the fact that he underestimated Luffy. I just want to point this out. It's the fact, number one, he couldn't see into the future on that exact moment, because Luffy was a case to mochi, and obviously since Katakuri could always see a couple seconds in the future, we can assume Luffy may have been under the mochi for about 30 seconds or so. Judging by how much time it took Katakuri to get over into the shrine and all that, and start to eat and all that, we can assume it took him maybe 30 seconds to a minute to get over there, and in that time, obviously, he couldn't have, foreseen Luffy eating his way out of it. So, that's basically what happened. Now, besides that alone, too, Katakuri, remember, he wanted his food, so he obviously, even though he wasn't underestimating Luffy, he's probably someone that was like, an addict, he was getting the mitches, and he wanted to get over there quickly as possible. He wanted to end things very quickly, which explains why he went all in very quickly in the fight. It wasn't just that he underestimated Luffy, or wasn't trying to underestimate him. He wanted to make it to where he could deal with him as quickly as possible. So he kind of went full strength right off at the gate. I mean, he used Awakened Devil Fruit, which is incredibly strong. And this man to resort to something like that, it kind of explains now why he did it, because he wanted to get to his food. So, he wasn't underestimating, he just got impatient. That's what happened. He got impatient, which in turn caused Luffy to find out his weakness and would see this side of him, which in turn caused a very funny moment in the chapter. So, I wanted to point that out. Anyways, let's talk about the design in general, okay? Katakuri's face and all that, his design, to his dog teeth and all that, let's just talk about it. So number one, I think now we understand why he has the name Lord Dogtooth. Teeth. Just makes a lot of sense. But I really like the way the stitches are done with the mouth. I know his, like, expression when he had, like, his mouth open very wide like Luffy and eating the donuts. It was a very funny expression. But overall, I do like the design of his mouth. Like, the way the stitches are and all that, and then the way he has the dog teeth, it's just a really awesome and epic look to Katakuri. But it's very obvious by the way he was reacting, he's very self-conscious about his appearance. It is something that he definitely knows that is not normal or many people would be afraid of, and so he's very self-conscious about it. There's probably a big story here that will eventually we might find out, and maybe he might even tell Luffy himself. Regardless, though, it's obvious that he has a complex when it comes to his face. The way the stitches are, the way his mouth is stitched up, he has a complex. And I don't know necessarily what caused this. It's obvious from what we have seen, he cares deeply about his family. Now, we do see he's willing to kill people if they find out about his secret. If they find out about his, his mouth and face and stuff, he will end them. Even if they're his bodyguards, subordinates, or whatever, he will end them. So, that rule to where he doesn't want his, subordinates or underlings to get hurt is thrown out the window when they actually see his expression. He's a kind individual, he cares about his family, but if they find out his secret, he will end them. He will put them down. So, this does let us know that he might even do this to his own family. If his family found out, maybe he might do that. Now, what makes me wonder is what caused him to be like this? Why does he have this? Like, why does he have a complex about it? The only thing I could assume is that something must have happened to him very similar to what happened to Pudding. I mean, you remember Pudding, she got put down constantly because of her third eye. She looked creepy and all that. Big Mom told her to cover it up. And maybe because, something similar might have happened to him. Maybe Big Mom told him to cover it up and then he was put down and maybe he was upset ever since. Who knows? Maybe something like that happened. Anyways, though, I do want to discuss the fact that it's obvious from looking at this chapter multiple times, there's a couple of things that you can pull from the reason why Luffy was able to make a hit against Katakuri. Luffy gets a hit in, and it hits him like near the jaw, like where the face is to where his mouth is all messed up and stuff, and we know that he's, he has a complex about that. We could assume that it's one of two things. Actually, a couple of things for the reason why Luffy is able to get a hit. Number one, the reason why he was able to get hit, which is the obvious reason, is because maybe Katakuri can only use a certain amount of haki at once. For instance, you know how he's able to see into the future and all that? Maybe he can only use, like, certain haki, like hardening and all that, but he can't use his foresight haki. So, what I'm getting at is, maybe he could only use one at a certain time, and if he's trying to do multiple, maybe it's not as strong, or he's limited in a certain way, to where he can't see in the future, which could have caused the reason why Luffy was able to go in and attack him, because when he hardened his mochi up, there's probably a reason why he couldn't see into the future. Maybe, like I said, he could only use one haki at a given time. That could be it. Now, if it is not that, there is another thing. It could be his ability's weakness. He could have a sugar problem. Let's think about what he said in this chapter. Sugar is the strength, or the strength of life, or something along the lines of that. Basically, sugar was a very important thing to him. Now, it could be the fact because he loves food, but maybe sugar is a way he regenerates, or how he gets his strength back. For instance, he is mochi. He's like a sweet and all that. So, when you factor in sugar, maybe he needs that to continuously use his abilities. Maybe he needs sugar, which in turn he was running low, running on empty, and then in turn that's why he needed snack time quickly, because he was running low, and that also could affect his haki as well. Now, if it's not that, another thing it could be is his complex. Since he's so preoccupied with his complex, his mouth, maybe he cannot see the future around the area of his mouth. What I'm getting at is, since he wants to avoid people looking at it, and he has a complex about it, maybe he doesn't want to pay attention to it. He wants to completely avoid it. So anything that's getting close to his mouth or whatever, about to hit him in the mouth, he doesn't see it. Maybe he doesn't want to hit because it's like a subconscious thing. Maybe he just doesn't want to focus on it because it terrifies him or something. So that could be it. That could be the reason why Luffy was also to hit him right there, is because of that complex. Now, I think if there's another thing that it could be because he's just stressed out as well. Maybe Luffy stressed him out to the point because of interrupting his snack time that he's just unhinged right now and not thinking straight. That could be it as well. Because, I mean, we know how Luffy gets when he doesn't have his food, so that could be very similar too. Since Katakuri is like a mirror match, like evil Luffy, that could be it too. It could be because he's just not able to focus now because he hasn't gotten to eat whatsoever. So anyways, besides all of that, let's talk about the other details of this chapter, which is basically Luffy having a very epic fourth wall breaking moment. I like when he eats the mochi, he states like, "What is wrong with this pirate crew? Do I have to eat just to win a fight?" I was laughing because this is Luffy. This is a character that relishes eating. He loves to eat. And this man straight up getting tired of eating had me bust a gut. He's like, "Why do I have to eat every single time I fight someone from this pirate crew to win?" And I couldn't help but laugh because it's true. I mean, look what he's done. Every big opponent he's fought in this arc, he's had to eat something. Cracker, and now Katakuri, he's had to eat to be able to win. And when he says that, he's like, "What is wrong with this crew?" And he's eating. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help but bust a gut because it was just too funny. But anyways, though, that's basically it. I mean, Luffy having a very great moment when it comes to that. Katakuri's characterization in development was amazing. I really like his character right now a lot more than I did just because of the details Oda gave us. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe, and if you like my video, please leave a like, and I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.